Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about how I got into web development in the first place. So most people think, oh, I must have gotten into computer science and web development through math. But no, it was actually through a really unconventional means. When I was in high school, I was always known as the soccer guy. People would always ask me questions about, oh, what soccer shoes do you wear? And I'd always refer them to a online soccer shop where they could buy soccer cleats. And one day I was looking at the website and I realized if I was a beginner, I would have no idea where to start through looking through this website because all the options use all sorts of technical lingo that would just confuse a user or a beginner as much as possible. So from there, I decided I wanted to build a website that would recommend soccer shoes to beginners. So the idea was to make it a sort of interactive quiz where it asked you basic questions and would give detailed trade-offs to each option. And after answering a couple of questions, then it would filter through a database of different soccer shoes and would link to a website where you could buy those soccer shoes. And every single time somebody bought a pair of soccer shoes, I would get a commission off it. So how that entire process was pretty crazy because thinking back on it, because I started learning how to because at that time I did not know how to program at all. I learned everything through YouTube, going step by step. And I remember it took me like 1 month just to create a button. It was drastic, but at the end of the day, I managed to build my dream website that could recommend soccer shoes, and I called it CleatWiz. And to continue off that, so it took me a couple of months to build it, and then one day I was in class, and a random teacher came into our class and recommended this competition called the Congressional App Challenge. So the Congressional App Challenge is a competition sponsored by the U.S. Congress, and it's for high schoolers. And if you submit a app or a website, you have the possibility to win and then go to DC to present in front of all of Congress. So after the teacher suggested that, I thought, oh, you know what? I'll just submit my app or my website, and, someone far smarter than me will, win the competition. But you know what? Might as well. You miss 100% of the chances you don't take, right? So I submit my app or my website, and time goes by, and next thing I know, I receive an email that I won the competition. It was one of the most surreal things because I'd never expected that from a really scrappy, random idea, I would end up being in front of Congress, speaking to people that I only see on the TV, and achieving something that I never thought I'd be able to achieve. So, if you're listening, hopefully that's a bit of inspiration, and, yeah. Hi everyone. So in my previous video, I talked about how I got started into web development. Kind of to segue off that, I'm going to talk about another personal story about work that I've done with a sports intelligence startup, and how a lot of the methods that I use for web development save them a lot of money. So this sports analytics startup does sports intelligence for pro soccer and college soccer teams, and they really needed a way to present themselves to the world and to figure out whether their idea is valuable to people. So what I did was to build a landing page. So a landing page is just kind of like an informational site that kind of simply explains who they are, how do they benefit the end user, and kind of like what services they offer. So the advantage with building a landing page before building the entire platform is that you can get instant feedback from possible clients or the world at large. So building a landing page and iterating through it is so much cheaper, because instead of investing thousands of dollars trying to build an entire platform and just kind of shotgunning, trying to figure out what features people want and what features people don't, you can have the landing page and create multiple different versions. And with each different versions, you can test out different assumptions that you have. For instance, you can test out the services that you offer, or the benefits that you provide, or even how you create the message of what you even do. So this is a point that I think is very underappreciated about web development, websites, and the development process. Not only are they a way to present yourself to the world, it's also a way to validate new ideas. Hi everyone. So in my previous video, I talked about how I got into web development and how I did some work with a sports intelligence startup. Well, kind of to piggyback off that even more, I'm going to talk about another personal story of me building a website for a violinist and how web development brings me joy. So I built a website for a violinist called a violinist group called Pop City Strings. They have a YouTube channel, so please check them out. But so the website that I built for them was a very simple landing page. But what I took out of that experience was that not only does it help artists expose themselves to the world, it also helps them organize themselves, because through the process of building a website, the end, or the client, in this case the violinist, has to compile all of this sort of information, like their videos, their photos, how their messaging, their services. All of that process really helps organize themselves. And through that process, it really helps them gain clarity on what they want to do and what they want to achieve. So from building the website, the violinist told me, you know what, this process really helps organize myself and really help me gain clarity on what I wanted to do. Thank you so much. And even though that's a really small detail, it really did impact me, because it really taught me that web development isn't just the programming aspect. It also is a very socially involved activity, and it really has a positive impact on other people. And you can kind of see the joy, and that's what really excites me about the whole web development process. Seeing the end result, seeing how surprised they are, seeing the relief that they gain from having this just huge burden off their back. Yeah.